Hello world, this is Nye G Coach and another edition of Truth Fire Journal. Tonight we're going to be talking about models again. I'll be having also special guest Ben on to talk some politics, and I'll be having special guest, of course, recurring guest Xailyyne, and we'll be talking about a few movies we've been seeing and the cast is in there, and if we have time, maybe a few other things. All right, so let's get into it. A little more orientation. Um, the thing I'm working on right now is getting ready for the year with the samples, 4,000 samples I want to have new this year. I'm trying to get myself as much ground as I can before summer. So that's going well. It's going as it should, and I'm performing well. Even today I'm a bit under the weather, but I am performing well, and so that feels good. Another thing I'm working on concurrently, particularly as I get tired of the artistic appreciation necessary to do proper emoji reading, my mind needs to shift to something else productive. I'm shifting to that one page where I describe my character. So I've been weighing things, and I need like 20 sentences that'll be in the page that'll convey my character. And it's a bit of a balancing act here because as I'm doing it, the more I'm visualizing how I'm going to do it. Courage is a big part about this. And really just the knife establishing the character. Because I had to balance, for example, like different things I want to say. Obviously, I have HSP. I get overstimulated. It gives me twitchiness, things like this. Medical marijuana, do I mention that? What about the fact that I'm estranged from my family? Do I mention that right away or not? Whatever. What about the experiments we're doing? How much do I talk about them? Vaguely, more specifically, a bit of a pitch on it. I don't know. So that's kind of what I'm doing, is figuring out the balance, because here's the knife, what I'm trying to achieve. It's a lot going on, but kind of like anyone who's out on the mat, if you're rolling correctly, you have to be what you're supposed to be as you get on the mat. You need to be in the flow, and then everything you do goes from there. So that's kind of what this is meant to do, is to get me into the flow. So I don't want to make things so awkward that I'm just shutting all down all social conversation, because I can do that easily with my weirdness and my intensity. So I don't want to do that. But on the other hand, I get very bored, like painfully bored, like my skin and muscle like tingles and burns. It's uncomfortable to be bored talking about stuff that's not about the greatest mission ever so far. Well, so far in history. So that's what I want to be talking about, and I want to talk naturally. I want to talk about that, what it is, how it's going, and then I want to talk about how I do it, being me. Otherwise, I'm bored. There's no point to it. So that's the balance. Because the more of these things I'm able to put on the field, one, it's going to take more courage on my part. It's also going to make it more awkward, hence why courage is required. And it gets more risky that it's going to shut down the encounter, that you're like, oh, you're really weird. So I'm going for a charismatic character, but in the vein of like a Sherlock Holmes or some other kind of, I don't know, like mad scientist, whatever, genius scientist. I'm going to brand myself in a way that's going to allow, by that basic character choice, that prototype choice, that a lot of weirdness goes with being that kind of character. So I'm going to try to be a charismatic, heroic character that has some like pop culture relevance. They've seen movies or read stories or heard history or whatever of something like this. And then I'm going to try to allow me to be as authentic as I can, to get as many authentic pieces on the board as I can. So we'll see how it goes. So right now I'm just constellating the sentences, and I think I have some good ideas. And now I have to figure out how would I say that through. And the sequencing is probably going to be based on how gnarly it is. I'm going to probably escalate. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a straight escalation of weirdness or if it's going to kind of like go up to a peak of weirdness, and then I gently take them back. Well, not gently, but I take them down to the side of the peak. We'll see. Um, Obviously, I have so much weirdness that front-loading weirdness is not what I want to do. I want to be interesting and I want to be on topic. But then from there, we'll see what works. But I do know that you can do some pretty unusual things if you really take time to work it through and you care about the results. You can do quite a lot. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I want to be me, to do that in a way that's going to be not boring. I'll need to be the most interesting person they've ever met without shutting down all encounters. However, there's going to be a shutting down of encounters, but I want to get to where it's possible. I'm going to test this out. I'm going to test it out on the cashiers because they know us for a long time at the local grocery store, and they know that I'm a little bit weird, but they're like, he's mysterious weird. So they're just waiting for me to explain my weird. So I'm going to go ahead and use that as an experiment because they'll be fairly indulgent, I think. The baristas, the coffee shop, same thing. They're like, okay, he's an odd duck, but I'm not sure exactly what his deal is. I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell them what my deal is, and we'll see how they react. They can even help me later. Hopefully they'll be cool. They probably will. I'm like, okay. And now that I've said these things, what order would probably be better to say them in? And then I might try it. Well, I'm going to try. I'm going to see how it goes on that NIZ guy that chats with me at the gym. So those are my 3 experiments on it, and I will figure out what is the best way to do it. All right. So, boom. We're now going to get into first case that I'm working on this year, kind of by myself a bit. Is models. So in the models, we have several new additions. I think I have about 20 of them. Where is it? And this time around, it was mainly Xailyyne I was getting. So at different times, I'm learning the bubble. I kind of dial in on certain things over others. All right. So right now, that's what's popping out. The Xailyyne I. So I think everyone can see this here. So let's talk about verse 1. This is going to be Xailyyne. It's different. Riza Santos. By the way, I'm leaving them uncolor tagged because I want to allow myself the looseness of getting all these puzzle pieces out and just sort of lightly putting them where I think they might go. And then I'll firm them up as this mass read, this bubble read gets further along. But bubble reads, which are mass reads, they're long-term endeavors, and so you have to kind of plan that way. So this is like some initial preliminary tagging. What I have here is Xailyyne. All right. Who else do we have here? Okay, scroll on down. Xailyyne I, Yulia. That last name is a bit tough for me. Sapar Niazova. Oh, that's okay. Now, this is a good one to look into, is because her being having Asiatic features, and as a part of that, also she has a bit more of the sheer cheeks. These risks can sometimes be tricky to see that they are values-based, but there it is. Okay, Xailyyne, another one. Here, Xailyyne I, Victoria. Tough when they do that pouty, steely resonating a lot, but I'm getting better at seeing it. Xailyyne I, Marique Schimmel, another Xailyyne I. Now this is a Xailyyne. Notice the difference. Now, what can be tricky, I mentioned, is the cheeks on the Xailyyne I can be a bit sheer, but on the Xailyyne, some of them have these pouty lips, because her lips are rather, particularly on the left, you can see the fullness, and in the right, where the angle of it doesn't look quite as full, but still, there's quite a bit of energy there. So that's something to be quite interesting, is the effect of being a discernment lead mojo can really make the G pop powerfully, even though it is polar, it really draws the eye. All right, Naiji in the mix. Romy Schoenberg. And a lot of practice between these 3 mojos. Another new one, Xailyyne I, Cuba Tornado Scott. Interesting, models anyway. There's a riff. There's obviously the propensity for having the mane from the G alpha of hair, but also getting this buzz cut. There's quite a few models that have this, and almost all of them are Xailyyne. Not that other ones can't do it. The Xailyyne and the Naiji also do severe haircuts, but this particular way of just cutting everything off, I always let their Xai Polar really kicking in. Anyway, interesting. Here we go. This is a different one. V-Xai, Emily Scott. All right, you see the classic V-eyes, which we see a lot of the models of Xai V and V-Xai, but the mouth, look at that. It's aware. Sheer cheeks and that awareness. That's G with the V. You don't see this quite as often. It's not one of the most common mojos. V-Xai do show up, but they tend to be more in sport modeling, but they do occasionally get into swimwear modeling and so forth. Another one here, Xailyyne Kayla Scott. Pretty easy to see. On the left, on the right, it might be more challenging. It's kind of nice to see the difference between the two. One thing I get a lot of practice is seeing that effect we talk about of the G emoting. It goes up the whole face of the G alpha, even when they're doing like nothing. They're moving their mouth hardly at all, but there is just this tonal quality that emanates strongly, broadcasts strongly from the face. All right, another Naiji, Eliza Cedinio. She reminds me a bit of that Naiji secret agent from Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. All right, another Naiji, Ala Sakula. So elongation of the face, but the emoting is more pronounced in the tonalness in the cheeks than it would be in the Xailyyne. Naiji Helena Severin. She was tough. She has quite severe cheeks, so she was a little tricky, but I believe that the eyes are looking right at me. Naiji. Xailyyne. Oh, she already been done. Okay, she's new. Xai V, Katie Schaefer. Again, a bit more like the pulling in with the emoting rather than sort of broadcasting out. Xailyyne Vita Sidarkina. You see on the right, not so much on the left, but I like really focusing on these ones where they aren't showing the emoting as much, because that's really hone in on, that's the instrument. Because even when it's at rest, it still is doing it. It's source. All right, boom. These ones are tricky. Sometimes they have this kind of sleepy-eyed look, these Xailyyne. They do it on purpose. It's part of the affectation of their posing, and so it can be tricky to see that it's not a Xailyyne, for example, like a full-face Xailyyne, but no, Xailyyne. All right, another Naiji, Athilia Simon. She actually riffs off of quite a few music artists, actually, a few that Bruno's put forward, riffs a bit of those. Right, Naiji, Tierra Scabai, another Naiji. That right picture, she reminds me a bit of Emily Watson. Is that right? No, Emma Watson from Harry Potter. Xailyyne, Josephine Scriver. And lots of emoting, even with little mouth movement. And Xailyyne Sierra Sky. She was a bit tricky for me as well because of the fullness of her lips. I was wondering if maybe it was a Naiji or something, but I believe it is Xailyyne. All right, so let's see if there's anything else in here. Nope. All right, so that does it for the modeling. We're now going to get into what comes up next. Purifications. All right, let's get into that. Here we go. We're now going to take a look at latest purifications. All right, so Rinku Kikuchi is a Xailyyne. She appeared in 2 movies that had Naiji leads in them, and that influenced me overly. Also, she has a very precocious energy that I often associate with Ni Alpha, but anyone can do it, and definitely Ni Mojos, Nez Towers can do it as well. For example, we see a lot of that with the vloggers. but it can also be done in film. Vaiji J. Carney. The MMA fighters have helped me with this, as has the new influx of politicians I'm looking into for the politics bubble I'm doing with Ben. Vizai, Manny Pacquiao, not Naiji. He was helped by some of the new athletes I've been looking at in the football bubble. Xailyyne Brian Thompson. So he always looked a bit odd, had this full jaw. I thought it was a nice Z with just a really full jaw, and he squints a lot. But I believe this is actually a Xailyyne. And it was weird, like, I already had Arnold Schwarzenegger, but Arnold Schwarzenegger recently reminded me of a Xailyyne I just found as part of the 4K I'm getting, and then that Xailyyne reminded me of him. And then I said, oh yeah, he does rip a Schwarzenegger, but I didn't go directly to him. I went from Schwarzenegger to somebody else to him, and then Schwarzenegger. All right, but now that I've said it, I did that, I'm like, oh, that he does look Schwarzenegger. All right, Xailyyne, Stacey Dash. She appeared in some movies that I really liked that had Naiji leads, like Mo Money with Damon Wayans, Naiji Damon Wayans, and also I think Boomerang with Naiji Eddie. No, that was something else. That's what helped me. Yeah, that's how she put Storm. But anyway, I was able to see it then, but it was hard for me until I got some distance. But the TV timeline, movie timeline helped me kind of take a big picture approach and look at myself like, oh, look what he was watching at those years and look what he was feeling. And that's been very helpful. All right, Xailyyne Liana de Havas, had her down as Nijai, but the models obviously really helped with that. And yeah, she rips several models. I don't know them by name yet, but quite a few. Xailyyne Taylor Swift. That's right. Boom. Dropping a bombshell on all of you. She's riffed me of several Swift models, and I kept waving it off because they don't do music like that, but they do. They do. Xailyyne do get in. Well, I knew they did composing and all kinds of stuff like that as far as making beats, but not as far as actually getting on stage and being like the front person of a band or whatever. So very, very interesting. But I can't deny that she looks very, very localized, and she's riffing a lot more on the Xailyyne I'm getting more of from modeling than she does of the many, many Nizai we have. We have lots of Nizai, but even though there's less Xailyyne, she's just riffing stronger there, and I'm getting more Xailyyne every day doing the modeling bubble. And so finally I'm like, okay, I don't think I can deny this anymore. So that's really, really cool. And this actually let me turn over another one. All right, so Xailyyne, Julie Marie Berman. I don't know what I had her down as before, but she's a Xailyyne soap actress. You know, I might have had her as, I might have thought maybe she was a Xailyyne. Yeah, that's what I've been getting better at as well. The modeling has helped that as well, as distinguishing between Xailyyne and Xailyyne, because they are both Jez Alpha and they have the V. Vizai Caden Cross, adult film actress. I also am doing several adult film actresses as part of this push, and some of them helped me see that she is one as well. Had her on its Nizai, and that helped me get her. She always bothered me, but I was like, it is what it is, because she just looked most to me like a Nizai, and she's with Vizi. I forget his name, but anyway, he's the hockey player, Wayne Gretzky, the great one. I think they call him the great one. But anyway, they actually are an ideal inspirational, and that was helped by the porn, the adult film bubble that I'm getting more into helped me turn over Caden Cross, which helped me turn over Janet Jones. All right, what else? Zevi Crystal Dunn. I'm getting more into women's soccer, and it's almost all Z, not all, but it's mainly Zevi. And the other mojos that are there, interestingly enough, there's no G. Well, there's like a handful of G Nai, but mainly it's Zevi, and then second would be Vi Z, and then a handful of Nijai and a handful of G Nai. But Vizai, which I thought she might be, actually I've not really seen them yet. So interesting. Xailyyne Crystal Press, same thing. She has a really upbeat energy that sometimes I associate more Xi over Xai, which is why I thought she was a V Xai. But I believe this is a Xailyyne with healthy, upbeat Xai. Which let me overturn Katie Price. She's another I think I had as a V Xai or something. But she, despite all the makeup and everything, she riffs of so many Xailyyne soccer players. It's not even funny. Xailyyne Faye White, same thing. Very upbeat smile, a big smile, upbeat smile, healthy jazz, but that's a Xailyyne. Xailyyne, Alexa Haven. I think she was the other way. I think she was one that had a Xai V, but it's actually a Xailyyne. So again, getting better at telling them apart. Same thing, Xailyyne, Sherry Som. And she has this kind of a bit more of a, I don't know, elegant, otherworldly, even sometimes demure energy in certain ways. But she is a Xailyyne. Getting better at seeing that because this energy, this kind of riff, it's more common in the Xailyyne models. It's not as common in actresses, and it's very uncommon in MMA fighter Xailyyne ladies. Aha! Xailyyne Cher Lloyd. Turning over Taylor Swift allowed me to turn over Cher Lloyd, not as well known, but a fairly well known music artist, and that is localized Xi. It was actually quite easy to see once I took Taylor Swift. I think I had it on Xai V just because I was trying, my psyche was trying to figure out what made sense for this tower. I could tell she was a tower, but after that, I think I got thrown. Well, I did get thrown. And the right answer, I believe, is Xailyyne. Xailyyne, Elsa Pataki. Again, more of a quiet, I would say demure, but quiet, watchful Xailyyne. Who else? Tito Trinidad, Nai Xi. That's just a subtle shift. He was over at Xailyyne, but he's Nai Xi. I think just because he's very passionate and he kind of talks a lot about his passion as far as what drives him, I think I let that sway me back in the day. All right, Xailyyne Chris Humphreys is a, we have not a Xailyyne, but I'm getting much better at telling them apart now. In basketball, the Xailyyne is more rare, but they are there. But in football, the Xailyyne is quite popular. I believe they're on par with maybe even more than the Xailyyne, but both the Xi Alpha are very big in football. So we'll look for more of those purifications coming soon. Another one, Xailyyne Scott Vegeta, because actually I got him from Tito Ortiz. If you shave his head off and make him not pleasant disposition, kind of mookie, he kind of looks like Tito Ortiz. And then Vizy Michael Bennett. Make sure I tell Ben about that tonight. Michael Bennett was down as a Xailyyne, but that is a Vizy. As I've gotten deeper into politics, there's more and more Vizy and Vizy. The Xailyyne are not as prevalent as you get more into the nuts and bolts of politics. So that's an interesting little subtle shift. There's still a large amount. They do show up regularly, but when it gets to the people who are more well known, the amount of Xailyyne percentage increases. All right, that's it. Boom, and it's time for me to send link to Ben. All right, so that has been sent out. All right, so now I'm going to talk about last week's Hangout as far as the Mojo reading. I'll wait for Ben to come on. So things I noted were there were quite a few tricky ones in there, but the tricky ones often really help you realize what's going on and what you need to focus on. For example, one of the samples was a Naiji lady who had a very full face, and that full face can be easily mistaken for a pilot face, when in fact it's just fullness. And so to really look for the otherworldly factor, that detached quality. Let's see here. Another thing was that Vaiji journalist had a lot of Zai and a very unusual mouth, the kind of mouth that made it really hard to tell that he was values-based. So that was really good to see as well. me see if I can find him here. Yeah, for the full face Naiji, I believe that was Fatima. Yeah, Fatima Buto. And then the very Zai heavy, unusually shaped mouth Vaiji is Will Self. In fact, I can show you what I'm looking at right here. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, so now looking at the entire screen, it says. So you should all be able to see this. Cool. All right, so he is a Vaiji, but unusual mouth, and he keeps it in a Zai purse quite a bit. Who else was there? There was the chef. The chef had a fuller face. Up here, you can see he's a bit heavier than in the picture below. But even in the picture below, he's thinner than he is. Oops, where'd you go? Than he is in some of them. Sorry, everyone. I'm still figuring this out. Okay, so yeah, here he looks a lot like the guy from Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Darcy. Still waiting for Ben to come in, so hopefully it's all going through okay. All right, who else was there? She's pretty straightforward. I think is a Xailyyne. She reminds a lot of Xailyyne comedians. To me, he was pretty straightforward too. Rode Gilbert, I thought he was pretty straightforward. That mouth looks, the Zai purse going on there. This guy, a little tricky. Not super tricky, but I'd say a little bit trickier because of the fullness of the face, a bit jowly, and it gives a roundedness. And he also has these a bit more larger open eyes, a bit of a roomy look to them. By roomy, I mean a bit watery looking. And so that can be a bit tricky, but he just looks like a Vaiji who has that kind of thing going on. We'll see quite a few of those in the politician bubble. All right. He's pretty straightforward, I thought. Although he had a lot of shiny baby energy. The shiny baby energy did make him a bit tricky as far as not thinking he's a gatherer. These gatherers have that really upbeat energy. And so when Mojo gets that real kind of upbeat, bubbly, sort of effervescent energy to them, you might think, oh, I'm looking at a gatherer.
Hey, Coach.
Oh, and there is Ben.
Sorry about that. For some reason, I'm looking at now, your email whoever sent the email just showed up in my inbox, but it says it was sent 29 minutes ago. So I don't know.
No. I think
I refreshed it a while ago, and I was wondering, but apparently it was sent a while ago, but for some reason it didn't show up. I don't know.
No. I think I just sent a few minutes ago, so that was something else.
Okay, that's good then. I was worried it was there the whole time, and I wasn't being on top of it.
Perfect. Glad to have you here. All right.
Awesome.
Great. So first, I want to talk about your leveling up status. So what do you have going on? Where are you at? What level are you at right now?
Which my toe level or
You're
my all around? I think it's I can look at the exact number. I don't know exactly. It's somewhere in the 20s. Let's see. Planet. I'm just gonna find a forum post. Here we go. 24. Yeah, I just got that, or just got in the 20s. because of I got like 4 levels in media productions for the Nijez ebooks, and I got 6 levels in bubble building for these for the hangout sessions.
You totally earned that because you've been with us for years now.
Yeah.
Put it out there, public online. So props to you.
Yeah. I think this is like I don't know how many years I've been here. A while. But,
a while.
Yeah.
You've been in the mix, sir. This is not your first rodeo.
Yep.
So as far as this year, we want to make sure that we have something for you to focus on. As much as you can, you want to get the collages in your head. I'm trying to purify them as best I can, but the sooner you just had them in your head, even if they need to be purified later on, you need to get your muscles to do this. You know, language acquisition, it's easiest when you're younger. And now, these are the nuggets you'll need to have this language. The sooner you just get them in there and you can start moving around with them, the better.
Yeah, that's true. It definitely, with anything, any skill, it tends to get harder when you get older. But I mean, you know, there's always potential.
Well, it could actually get easier once you build the structure. That's
true. That's true. I mean, it like something that you know.
But building that core structure, that's critical to get in place as soon as you can, because then fluency and how you can use and all the ideas that can flow from it can happen once that's there, which is why I'm so desperate to get it myself. All right, so that's track 1. So just, you know, we have 20K out, so that it could put you up to level 15 in track 1.
I already, I think I have all the collaging credit. Oh wait, there's 20K worth of it now.
Yes.
Right. So I have more collages to do. Okay, that makes sense.
So those are available on Dropbox, and so that's 5 levels waiting for you to get into.
Yeah, you added those so fast, Coach. I was just like thinking, you know, but I thought, oh right, yeah, there's 10 more K now. So
then there's that, and then for the voicing, I know you want to get more into some spoken word. So I'd like to work with you on that a bit, but I think if we could,
I want to level up in track 2 so I can get into some stuff that I'm more interested in. Because that's, you know, that's like, I guess what the biggest incentive is once you get there, you can you can voice about, you know, what you want to voice about and things like that. I'm really into politics as well, and I'd like to. I've been thinking about doing like a vlog. You know, or doing perhaps a series of vlogs on that, you know, talking about, you know, the various stories that are going on that I'm really interested in, and I can relate that to Pot Lair as well. So
I mean, that'd be awesome. That'd be a great contribution. Yeah. But the fundamental levels actually are, ironically, they're the most interesting and the least interesting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They're the most interesting because they're actually the premise that allows all the storytelling to come from. But they're the least interesting as far as they're not the stories themselves. You want to go talk about the stories that particularly capture your imagination.
Yeah.
But before one kind of being a detective, the cases themselves are the most like interesting, but really the book on how to be a detective is the most interesting because it allows you to be the detective that works all the cases. They're so fun.
That's true.
I feel you.
But I definitely, you know, I definitely do get a lot out of the lower levels as well. I do think they're important and necessary. And while I'm familiar with, you know, the vast majority of what's in there, I'm sure there are some things I need to, you know, it'd be good for me to, you know, in terms of understanding, you know, to read through it and such, and also just doing it, you know, it has. There's certain things that need to be done there because, like, oftentimes, you know, just having it in your head isn't really enough because the goal is to be able to voice it. So, you know, doing that once tends to improve your voicing capabilities and allow you to, you know, speak yourself when it comes to the, you know, when you're out doing cases on your own. So,
for sure, I think you experienced that with the latest voicing you did when you were working that song. There's one thing to know it in your head. And there's one thing to be able to say it by yourself with no one around, but then to say it in front of other people. Like each one, that's a level. It takes courage, and particularly for Najee, really for anyone, but for us being just hunters, when we have these courage tests, the one thing that helps us the most is our worldview. If we feel the worldview is sure, that we really know what we're doing, then that pushes through the fear. And we can push through some crazy amount of nervousness if we're like, yes, but this is exactly what I want to say. This is what I believe in. And so it's a very good ritual to put yourself through.
Yeah, totally. I completely agree with that. Because it's just like, if you know exactly why you're doing it and where you're going, then it doesn't really matter, how hard it is, or, because like fear and, doubts can make you feel like, anything in the world is gonna be in your way. It's gonna, make things difficult for you, and it's gonna make it not worth it. But, if you realize, why you're actually doing it, and why I need to be putting as much as I can into this, then the result doesn't really matter. The result is what matters is that you're actually, you're doing the best you can to push as far as you can in the direction you should be going. It might, you might say, oh, that's a utopia, you're not going to get there. But if you get as far as you can, that's the best result by definition, because because that's where you need to go. And it's not a situation for like a black and white situation. It's like, oh, you're not going to get there, or you are going to get there. No, you're going to get a certain amount there, and that's going to help you every step of the way you get. So,
and doing that, you'll be a certain kind of hero, which is wonderful. Every step you take, you're being the kind of person you want to be.
Yeah, there's definitely a code of conduct to that. It's really cool.
Alrighty, so let's get into politics. All right, so I'm going to just show you what I have, and then I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Awesome.
All right.
We're looking forward to it. I haven't exactly collected a lot on my own. I've collected the senators. I showed you that. I was interested.
Right. All right, so what I have, I kind of just grabbed lower hanging fruit, Ben.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good place to start, and then we can work out. Because
You're saying?
Oh yeah, because the cases that people are going to be most interested in are going to tend to be lower hanging fruit anyway. So that it's win-win to start with that, I think.
Right, and this is good to talk about because I'm going to be teaching as we do it. I'm mentoring you through how to do mojo reading, how to level up in the practitioner program, and main thing we're doing here with the politics is how to do a bubble read.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something you'll be doing anytime you go to a new school, new neighborhood, new workplace. You're going to be reading the whole place, and you really can't read the individual cases without reading the whole thing. And so over a few years having done this, I've developed some methods that work well. On the low-hanging fruit, sometimes they're that golden spot of they're interesting enough, but you're not super into them, and they have features that are either fairly classical or they riff strongly as samples you already have. Mm-hmm. And you take those and then you go to the ones that are a little further where it's a more strange riff of Xailyyne, a bit of an odd riff of Xailyyne. And but you've built yourself up in the bubble where you understand a bit more what's going on. So when you get that case.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's cool. Getting the most typical examples out of the way, so you have a good foundation, and then you'll have ironically, that actually gives you a much better, puts you in a much better position to read less typical cases, because because within those typical cases, there's a lot of variety you can, reference from. So it's cool.
It's true, because there's like different riff touches, and some are stronger than others. On an odd case, there might be very few touches, and they'll be lighter.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got a larger amount, a library of riffs of say Xailyyne, then you can get to where you go lighter, working off of less information, kind of fingerprints. You can put together what a partial fingerprint is likely to be better the larger your database of full fingerprints is. Because the understanding of how fingerprints work is just much better. So then those harder ones you can better accuracy.
Yeah, you have a much better idea of what the rest of the picture is most likely to look like.
Sure. Are you
Yeah,
ready?
because you have less information, right? It's kind of, but you can still solve the case because of all these cases where you had very more information. So it's interesting. It's like it's a higher degree of challenge every step of the way.
Sure. So what I like to do first, Ben, I'll be starting with you now, is starting to kind of just get my head absorbing the players. So enjoying, and you being here has helped me a great deal. Thank you, to kind of get into this story. And so when I get into a story, I get into the characters that make up the story. And that mode, very good for mojo reading. All right.
I agree.
Here we go. First, you see Greg Abbott?
Yep.
He is a Visee. You'll notice that I haven't color tagged them. That's because I want to keep this tagging loose right now. We'll firm it up as we get further along. One thing I noticed is there's a lot more Visee as we get further into it.
Interesting.
And Visee, do you see him, Ralph Abram?
Yep, I see him.
He's a member of Congress. Visee show up there as well, but I've noticed that when it gets more consolidation of power, such as senators and governors and mayors, the amount of Visee increases. When it gets into more of like a populist thing where there's more going on, the amount of Visee increases. Same three players, those two plus the Xailyyne and a few other rarities, but it's interesting, it shifts.
Oh, interesting. So, so in Congress there'd be less Visee than Visee, or more?
I think in Congress there's probably less Visee.
Okay, that makes sense.
But in senators and governors, there's more.
Oh, senator is a wing of Congress. It's Congress is made up of. Do you mean like the House?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. I meant the House.
Yeah.
So the House has more Visee, and the Senate has more Visee.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because the Senate is made up of less members. Is that where there are less or more Visee?
Less. There's more Visee in the Senate.
Okay, that makes sense. So when there's more of a consolidation and less numbers, more Visee.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because you have like even at the highest level, you have like the Bushes, right? So that's one example. And also on the Supreme Court, there's at least one Visee I know of.
You see this guy?
Yeah. Yep, I see him.
The Visee. Got like 20 to show you. Not all are Visee, but quite a few. You see a squinty eye, the pallor. The one that's been a little tricky here, we'll have to get really good at, you and me, Ben, is they tend to put on a more affable face than when you see Visee in other fields. Like this smiley face. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like if I were to look at that in some other field, I might. I mean, not that I'd see, a lot, but if I were to see that somewhere else, it would be rather difficult for me to see that was a Visee because I'm not as familiar, with Visee, particularly ones who tend to look like that. So that's kind of
a lot of practice here. Okay.
Oh, he's actually the what's it called, the representative from my the House representative from the congressional district I'm from, Justin Amash.
Interesting. Yeah.
I'm
So him as well. All right. So let's see who else we got in here. Rusty Bailey, Mayor. He's, to me, is a little easier. I'm curious for you. He's a little easier to see as a Visee for me.
Yeah, he has kind of the thinner face and like the more like sheer looking cheeks. Just the way they're.
Yeah. And his mouth, he's smiling, but it has a little more of the awkwardness of the jaw you see.
Yeah, I agree.
IG next. See the difference there? Smile there. That's G.
Oh yeah, nice.
Mix it up. If you happen to know who these people are, go ahead and say anything you want, because I'll be reading the mojo, but I actually be relying on you a lot to kind of give me in what's going on in the bubble.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll definitely have to get into all these cases more. I do know a fair amount about about senators and such. But I'm definitely not the most familiar. I'm only like 19, and and I haven't been I've had an interest in politics for several years now, but it's not like I haven't consumed so much information about the bubble that I'm like,
totally. By any means. Well, then you and I kind of share it together, but your enthusiasm on the subject actually really helps me quite a bit. So thank you.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely really interesting though, and I'd like to get more into it as the weeks go by and such. And I do know a fair amount, so whatever I happen to know, I guess we can use.
I appreciate it. It'd be great. I think people enjoyed found the case with us. Because the main thing is we want to kind of crack the bubble, what their mojos are, but understanding the stories and who's doing what and who's winning and who's in trouble, it makes it more fun, more interesting, more easier to remember these characters.
Yeah, totally.
Now you see down on there on the right, he's kind of the middle. He's kind of a bit more of a smooth operator, but still that mouth has that sort of slightly
that jaw can be kind of tricky. Like if I looked at that, I might be like, oh, is that because he has kind of some rounder features, and also I consider him a Xailyyne development, so I might consider something like possibly even something like Mockingjay. Looking at that, I don't know, those shades.
This guy, he's tricky. Xailyyne.
Yeah, he's got kind of a squarish face.
Squarish. He's got a wide face too.
Yeah. Yeah. I might, because of a lot of because the Xailyyne have a lot of Xai, don't they? So that's There's a few of these. Him and this guy here, Ami Berry, they're doctors. Interesting.
And fuller face, a lot of knee as well.
Yeah, I could definitely confuse that for Xailyyne. But I can see it though. I mean, his eyes kind of look, they look more hunterish. They look more like they're more, focused, on you. And also the moting is very strong with him.
Now,
in fact, I might even consider something like Xailyyne looking at him, or Xailyyne or something, because of the fullness of his face. Oh, I might have considered something like Xailyyne or Xailyyne looking at that, because the fullness of his face combined with the G.
I mean, I was thinking like Nizai, because there are Nizai medicine as well.
Yeah. Oh, and there's one Nizai in Congress, Al Franken.
Yeah,
I mean, he's also a comedian, but I mean that's still it's significant. We had Barack Obama in Congress too, so it's definitely not impossible. It'll be interesting to see if we happen to find more outliers like that.
Definitely. All right, so this is another one of those Xailyyne with a bit more of an affable thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Smiley.
Yeah, definitely. Picture on the right.
Got a couple more here.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these politicians they have really good social game. They kind of have to, like businessmen. At the same time, they spend so much time just like looking at paperwork and crap that I mean not crap. Maybe it could definitely be something that would give a lot of momentum to Xailyyne. But it tends to increase the amount of Zez development or Xai development of Xailyyne.
But for the lodge-based mojos, the Xailyyne and the Xailyyne, they tend to, like I said, have
better Xai, yeah, because I guess because it's the Zez is higher up in their peak pathway, so they have a bit more flexibility working that kind of job, I think. Or it's easier for them to have more flexibility with that, and also it's more conducive for them to do that because of their public image and things like that. People want somebody who comes off as someone who's kind and sincere and presents himself as someone who's
Problem solver, too.
considerate of the values of the American public. So.
Okay. This is a lady, IG Jamie Herrera Butler.
Oh, cool.
She's got game. She's got good knee.
Yeah.
If it's going to help me, because if you just look at her quickly, you might think Naiji. Like it's pretty obvious to me anyway. Like Jez Hunter, long face, the eyes.
Yeah, I'm getting that too. I closest similar would be Naiji for me as well.
Yeah, because her eyes are quite that amount of knee going on. They have a lighter quality to them than Vi Alpha have without it.
Yeah, reminds me of Carly Fiorina a little bit, although she has more Vi than she does. But I can see the same style of face.
Really helping. We're gonna get more Vaiji ladies. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, this guy Vaiji. Here's what you're talking about, Ben. His smile looks a little tight because I think he has so much Zion. Make sure it doesn't mess up. The Z mojos have to be make sure they're warm enough. But then the G mojos make sure that when they get going talking, they don't slip and say something they shouldn't say.
Yeah, because I think when you get into Office and you're in there, like Z is just like such a strong and useful power to have that you have to be careful that they have to be careful that they have a decent amount of Jai, because otherwise, I mean that's how they get they really need that to get elected, and they really need that to do their job reasonably well. But it's like, if you're in that environment, Z is extremely useful. You tend to make use of that so much.
For sure. All right. Go. Levi Z. Look, he's smooth operator. Look at him.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of George W. Bush a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Although this guy, I don't know, I kind of like him more. I like his smile more.
Yeah, agreed.
More his knee too, I think, is probably a little bit better, at least.
He does have a right look to him. But although Bush could look quite upbeat.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right. Vizi, David Beater, the mayor. These fuller face ones are a bit tricky sometimes from telling apart from Xailyyne. The big headed, power headed Vizi can be quite tricky to tell apart from Xailyyne.
Yeah, definitely.
But there still is a longness to it. Even though it's large, it's long. It's like like a watermelon or something. Not mean insulting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to describe the look it has. It's kind of like
he's like it too. He's a big headed or power headed Vizi.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can see kind of like a very dry, like 3-segment, look to their face, where you have the eyes that are just like pure drone, and the cheeks are like just these really really sharp Z. Then the Jai, warm, down below, and it comes off to me as very dry, but also very distinct, I guess. Like they look like very hard moving objects, I guess.
Concrete. Yeah, the eyes are tight, like they're more locked in. There's a brighter quality to the Xailyyne.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, now after you sent me that list of what's going on the Senate races, I want to switch into that now. So we're talking Senate races.
Sure, that sounds good. I wonder, it might be good to start with the senators who aren't up for re-election. I guess simply because we already know exactly who we want to read for that. The others are it's a little bit more difficult to tell exactly how much.
Yeah, we wouldn't do that.
Because we could read like everyone who's running for those seats, but
no, I think we should do the main players.
Yeah. Let's start with.
I'll tell you who I have. Let me tell you who I have. All right, so he's a senator, right? Mike Crapo?
Yeah.
He's one you mentioned. Where's he from?
Let's see. I can. I think I definitely wrote it down. Just opening it up right now.
Cool. That was very helpful, by the way. Thank you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, he's a senator from Idaho, and he actually isn't. He's actually up for re-election, so that'll be interesting. He's an incumbent though, so and it looks like he'll probably win. So it's definitely good that he's red. Oh, what do you say? Sorry.
Is he Republican or Democrat?
Oh, he's a Republican.
Next up, Xailyyne Tammy Duckworth. Yeah, classic Xailyyne right there.
Oh yeah, totally.
Well, yeah. Watch out for those.
He looks pretty cool. And
there are some ZVI in Congress, so I have to make sure we watch out for telling those two apart. And where's she from? And she's up for Senate, you said? Because right now she's a member of Congress, it says.
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't look like she's currently sitting. She's running for Illinois Senate. Oh, you know what? She might be. I think she might be a representative. That's
right.
Probably why. Yeah.
Right.
So
next up, bam.
She's running for Senate in Illinois right now, on the Democratic side.
All right, and this guy, Baiji, Corey Gardner. Look at that smile. That's awesome. Already a senator. Where's he senator from?
Gardner. Colorado. And I'm not sure whether he's a Republican or Democrat. I didn't write it down, but yeah, he's sitting in the Senate right now.
Cool. All right, just two more, but these are also senators. All righty, Vizy, Bill Cassidy.
His face looks really typical to me. It's like he's got those thinner features. He's got the longer face, and his eyes just like look really like pinched and really tight and locked onto you.
And then even with the smile on the right.
Yeah, that awkward smile, that you can see.
If not, but expectant, kind of expectant.
Oh yeah. I guess awkward isn't really the best.
Sometimes shy can be that, but not always. But always does.
Not always. Like, expectant, unaware.
It's kind of waiting on you, whereas the G is taking the lead.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see here if we got any more. Is that the last one? Oh, one more. Shelley Moore Capito. Where's she from?
Moore Capito. West Virginia.
West Virginia. So, get more Baiji ladies.
Cool.
Nice.
It seemed to be popping up to a significant extent. I thought for a while it was are there more Xailyyne females politicians, or is that
again is that the numbers of Xailyyne thin out the deeper I've been getting into the politics bubble. It gets heavier to the Vi Alpha, both of them.
That's really interesting because
even the deeper I've gone, it's even gotten a few Vi. But the Vi has increased the deeper I've gone.
Interesting. Yeah, that's cool because like right now, as far as like candidates running for president, there seems to be a disproportionately large number of Xailyyne. Like you have Donald Trump and Ted Cruz on the Republican side, and like Hillary Clinton on the Democratic side. So that's interesting. I wonder if like the higher you go up, there's more Xailyyne. I don't know.
Well, I think Xailyyne probably, just speculation, they're going to want more immediate results. So I think they're going to probably maybe pick careers not based on that's what the legacy leads them towards, but where they could make the most impact the quickest.
Yeah, that makes sense. That I guess, yeah, we see them very heavily in business, for example.
But again, the Xailyyne tend to show up more in the companies that are more moving fast now.
Yeah, and politics is a very slow-moving bubble, so I guess that can be a turnoff for Nye. Yeah. So.
All right, we have a little time here, so I would like to do some mojo reading with you.
All right, that sounds fun.
All right, let's take a look at. Is there one you have particular interest in?
Strictly from this list, or?
Yeah, I have like there's Andrea Zopp, Tom Cotton, David Perdue, Joni. Several we don't have. Pat Roberts, Gary.
Sure. Let's read Gary Peters. He's from Michigan. So.
All right. You can pull up a video for us.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll go ahead and quickly YouTube one. Just off of speculation, he looks like, I don't know, he might be Vi Alpha. I want to look at some video media of him, though. Oh, I can probably put this in the actual player.
What's his name again?
Gary Peters.
All right. You loaded it?
Oh, what?
You loaded it?
Oh, yep, I put it in the video player. Are you seeing it, or?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, walk me through what you're seeing. And it doesn't have to be first. It can just be anything, just his bearing. You can use a script of words besides just cues.
Yeah. For me, I think I might be seeing, a tighter, pinched look to the eyes, possibly Vi.
You are.
That's one thing. I believe. So it's my initial impression. I'm not entirely, exactly sure. I want to keep watching, but my initial, gut feeling points me in that direction.
How about
be talking in a very practical, first conversation sense, as opposed to more second conversation, which you would hear with Nye, or Nye.
All right. How about his mouth area, the emoting?
I'm not entirely I'm not as confident on his mouth. I know we've seen a lot of Vi Z who can kind of have in certain respects it does look like it's more slack-jawed, more unaware. In certain respects, I've seen Vi G who kind of have a mouth that sort of looks like that. I don't know. It might be more localized. I want to see him smile. I want to see what happens when. But right. Unfortunately,
how we look at the pictures then?
Sure.
Like, what do you think about this? Where's the chat bar?
If you click on the blue icon on the upper left, that'll open it up.
How about that?
Ooh, interesting. That might be shy. Like I'm looking at pictures, and it looks like it. It seems more unaware to me so far. Like I'm actually getting Mockingjay shades a little bit.
Well, I have to. I'm gonna send a link to Xailyyne for her thing. We can keep going until she gets on. Sound good?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the eyes, they look rather more concrete, more squinty. And I'm not really seeing the emoting go up, although he can be very expressive. And the eyes, I think the eyes look like knee to me. When he, you know, he does knee.
Hi,
Yeah.
Xailyyne.
Hey, how's it
Hey,
going?
there's Xailyyne.
Good.
Hey, Ben.
All right. So Ben, I'm just going to tell you that he is a Vaiji.
Oh, okay.
He had a bit of unusual mouth there that was very thin-lipped and kind of had an unusual waviness to him. But I do believe that that his Jian is going up into the cheeks. If you get a chance to watch another minute or so of him on your own time, I think you'll see that. But
Okay, cool. I was close though. I got Vi Alpha right.
you were indeed. So that was a lot of fun, Ben.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you for having me on, Coach.
Yeah, totally.
It was cool to jam with you on this vocal, and I look forward to doing this more in the future.
Yeah, definitely. That was a lot of fun. We have several topics we can get into. I want your spoken word for one thing, but also from here, there's world leaders, which is like a separate bubble. It's also politics. With
Yeah, more politics.
More politics. Then there's journalism, and then also I think business. Those four all kind of dovetail each other.
Awesome. By the way, is there more cases you'd like me, or would you like me to canvas more samples by the time I come on again, or?
I guess now I think I have a good amount. I can start work on. I can show you new stuff each time you come on. Probably would be the next thing is to just have stuff you want to say about what's going on, and let me know ahead of time what it's going to be. Not in depth, just who you're going to talk about.
Yeah, like cool journalism, cases and nuggets that relate to politics.
Yeah, and so if you just let me know what's going to be going on there, then I will try to have those people you're going to talk about read, or we'll read them that session. Sound good?
Awesome. I'll stay well canvassed with what's going on in the news and stuff.
Okay, great. That was a good first session. Got our feet wet a little bit.
All right, awesome. Thank you for having me on, Coach. It's been great.
Thank you for being here.
Have a great night, Xailyyne and Coach.
Good
Night. Hey.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right. So first thing I was going to ask you about is, we went on leveling stats last time, and you're cracking away what you've been working on, doing great stuff there. So let's go ahead and just jump right into movies. There's a few movies you and I have been watching and want to share with people. All right. So the first one I saw recently is Hitman.
That's right.
See, get up here. Are you seeing it now?
I am seeing it now.
Okay. So, would you please read out for the audience?
All right. Hitman Agent 47, an assassin teams up with a woman to help her find her father and uncover the mysteries of her ancestry. Hitman Agent 47 centers on an elite assassin who was genetically engineered from conception to be the perfect killing machine and is known only by the last two digits of the bar. Her combination of decades of research and 46 earlier agent clones, endowing him with unprecedented strength, speed, stamina, and intelligence. His latest target is a mega corporation that plans to unlock the secret of Agent 47's past to create an army of killers whose powers surpass even its own. Teaming with a young woman who may hold the secret to overcoming their powerful and clandestine enemies, 47 confronts stunning revelations about his own origins and squares off in an epic battle with his deadliest foes.
That was a great reading. The Xai really comes through. I see why Xai and you are so big in voice acting. When the Jai says army of killers, I'm like, oh. All right, Xailyyne, I'm going to quiz you here a little bit. Let's see what you know, and when we don't, we'll fill in. All right, the cast. Who we got? Can you hear me?
Agent 47, he is, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so Rupert Friend as Agent 47, he is Xailyyne.
Correct.
I'm not familiar with Hannah Ware.
She is a Xailyyne. She was the main female protagonist.
Okay.
You know Zachary Quinto.
Yes, and he is a Xailyyne.
All right, boom. He's one of the main baddies. Here's another baddie.
Venture is that not Xailyyne?
He is Xailyyne. Why don't you go ahead and pull up IMDb so you can look at the picture.
Okay, let's see.
So next up,
Xailyyne,
Xailyyne, correct? Boom. He's the dad of the lady, Hannah Ware.
All right. Let's see here.
Jurgen Prochnow.
To be clear with him from name. So let me see what we got here. All right.
I'll go and tell.
Don't tell.
Don't tell, okay. You can get it.
Okay.
You got IMDb? You have IMDb up?
Go ahead and say it, because I can't.
Xailyyne Jurgen Prochnow. And then Dan Backdale. Do you have a picture of him on IMDb?
No.
They don't? Okay, forget him then. But what about Angela Baby?
Hold on a second.
She's never been released before. Can you hazard a guess? Or me just tell you?
Okay.
What's that?
She looks shiny.
Xailyyne?
Mm-hmm.
Close. I believe she's Xailyyne.
Okay. She looks dry off. So.
Slinky, you're close there. Good slinky nod going on. All right. I'm curious, Xailyyne. Boom. What were your thoughts?
Yes. What were my thoughts? To be honest, I don't remember a lot of the movie.
I don't know if that's a ringing endorsement.
It was entertaining. Oh, I do remember now. Okay, it's coming back to me. Yeah, I thought that he had.
What do you think of him as Agent 47? As an Agent 47?
I think he was.
What's that?
He was good. I think he. I thought he did a good job with acting. The part, I think that the part is difficult because Agent 47 doesn't have a lot of expression, you know, and it came from a video game, so it wasn't really focusing the video game on like him internally. You know, it was more of, you know, a game of.
I thought you did a good job with Jai making him likable. You're right, because he doesn't emote very much, but he I liked him. There was something likable about him.
Yeah. I agree. And then it's coming back to me, and his dynamic with the Xailyyne was cool.
The Xailyyne? You're talking about the main lady? She's the Xailyyne. Hannah Ware.
Okay. Okay, I guess I don't remember as much as I thought I did.
That's okay. So I guess that's what we say. This movie was not very memorable. Moving on. That's fine. The Good Dinosaur.
What do you think of it? What did you think of it?
was, like you said, it was entertaining, but it didn't really keep the attention overly. I thought he was likable considering that he doesn't say a whole lot or emote a lot. The chemistry I thought was decent because you normally want to say Nizai, but the fact they don't really have a romantic relationship at all, I was like, it's cool. And I did think that, as usual, Zach Quinto, excellent actor, and Xailyyne make really good villains, particularly when they're like twisted. He was like a twisted agent. He was very good. But I think all of them were, working with a character that's not the most flushed out. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting is that I noticed in that movie, it's similar to some other shows that we're watching, like.
Say again?
It's a pattern that I've noticed that is in the Agent 47 movie that I've noticed in other serials, which is an interesting dynamic that wouldn't have necessarily paired these together, but it seems to be a thing, which is having Xailyyne ladies and Nizi guys, like as a pairing. In this case, they're not romantic. Sometimes they're romantic, but that's interesting. That's an interesting pairing. And I'm not quite sure why that is, but it's something that I've noted, and this movie, bears out that trend.
I have an idea. Maybe. This could just be overly influenced by the Hitman movie and their dynamic, but maybe it's because there's a cool dynamic with having the passionate female and the tall, dark, silent leading male. And if you wanted to accentuate that dynamic, which is already kind of there in a way we say Nizez anyway, but if you wanted to sort of accentuate that dynamic, then if you made the female protagonist, I guess it would work the other way too. I don't know if we've seen that as much, but anyway, she can throw a lot of like, oh, this is scary. Oh, we should beat them up. Oh, we should do this. Why aren't you feeling anything? I'm about the mission. I do the mission. And it makes him about the. It's more extreme, the difference between the two of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not. In that movie, it was.
Yeah, I think you could be onto something there, because in other shows that I'm one that we've gotten into lately called Crossing Lines.
Oh yeah.
There are several Xailyyne ladies there, and the main protagonists are Nizi males, Donald Sutherland.
Actually, three. As far as the upper leader, that's interesting too. In that, we'll talk to the movie. We can't talk about too much because we'll have to talk about it later. But you're right. The top three as far as the hierarchy, it's 3 Nizi, and then like the main crew is Xailyyne dudes and Xailyyne ladies. Interesting. That's.
I think has a romantic relationship with the Xailyyne.
Oh, I see. I don't know what you're meaning by that, Xailyyne, but I think I see what you're saying. Is that instead of like the passionate female throwing the energy and then the Nizi is sort of like, I'm about business. Here, it's like the younger field agents are all like, we got to do this. We got to save so-and-so. And then you have the Nizi about the mission. Sometimes people die. Don't get overly excited. Long game. And it makes for a nice push and pull between the higher up ranked people and the field crew.
Yeah, and then there's also that dynamic where you said of like women, because one of the.
What's that? You froze. Hello? I lost you there, Xailyyne. Hello? Oh.
Lady. Yes?
Hello? Can you hear me? I can hear you, but I can't see you. Oh, there, you're back. Go ahead. You're saying?
Okay, I was saying that in that show, there's also a pairing of a Nizi, one of the Nizi males and a Xailyyne lady as well. Because one of the Nizi guys is married to a Xailyyne lady, so there's also that dynamic of she has a lot of the passion and emoting, and he's the steely, cool leading man type.
Gotcha. But what I think next time, Xailyyne, we definitely need to do that. I'm going to bring that one in. Crossing lines. All right, so let's go on to the next movie, though.
Right now.
Good Dinosaur. All right, so can you see the Good Dinosaur?
I can.
All right, so I'm going to read this one. In a world where dinosaurs and humans live side by side, an Apatosaurus named Arlo makes an unlikely human friend. The Good Dinosaur asks the question, what if the asteroid that forever changed life on Earth missed the planet completely and giant dinosaurs never became extinct? In this epic journey into the world of dinosaurs, an Apatosaurus named Arlo makes an unlikely human friend. While traveling through a harsh and mysterious landscape, Arlo learns the power of confronting his fears and discovers what he's truly capable of. So, I think a lot of these voices are well-known people. I don't know how much we knew when we were watching it, but here they are. You want to take a shot at them? Anyone you don't know, just say pass and I'll do it.
I pass on Jeffrey Wright.
Do you have IMDb up? Do you have IMDb up, Xailyyne?
Okay, let me.
And then it's the Good Dinosaur. You passing him? He's a Xailyyne. Jeffrey Wright. He's the voice of Papa Dinosaur, Papa Apatosaurus. How about Frances McDormand? You know her, Fargo.
She's Xailyyne.
Xailyyne, awesome actress. Marcus Scribner. He's not super well known, but he has been read. Do you know what he is? No.
Not.
Okay, so he is a Xailyyne. These other two, I don't know if we have them, so I'll put them down here as well right now. Okay, Steve Zahn, you know him?
Nizai.
Yup. AJ Buckley.
Pass.
He's a Xailyyne. Anna Paquin.
Nizai.
Up and Sam Elliott. He's in everything.
Nizy.
Nice. Boom. All right. What were your thoughts on this, Xailyyne?
I really liked it.
You liked it?
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah, it had an uplifting message. So Arlo was this Apatosaurus who was the runt of the litter. He was born in like this big giant egg, but he was like a little Apatosaurus, and he had a lot of fears, and he ends up getting. He goes and he has to confront his fear. Discovering he's,
Yeah, it's also two things. They don't really mention it in the description because he definitely does confront his fears. But as a part of that, he's also told that the way he confronts his fear is to become, in a way, brutal. Hard enough to kill something he's captured. And so he does conquer his fear without agreeing to that way of doing things. He's still a lifesaver, not a life taker, but he's not scared. He's brave while still making the conscious choice that he doesn't like to hurt anything. I like that a lot. Hello? Hello?
Hi.
I hear you. And you're moving choppily.
Okay.
There you are. You're back.
Okay. Well, also he had a companion throughout the epic journey. This feral caveman baby It was like a little shiny baby. It was cool. I like the contrast because the boy was actually the feral element, and the Apatosaurus was more like civilized in a way.
It was almost like he was the apparatus in the story, and the human baby was the Daryu. Normally, it's the human is the apparatus and has some sort of animal creature, savage creature is the Daryu, but here it was the other way around. Oh, so funny. You're right.
Yeah, so that was trippy. That was like mind bending, and that was cool. A cool element. They were a good pair.
And you're like, humans are precocious.
That's right.
Alrighty. One more. Let's see. This is Mockingjay, Part 2. And
that's part of the Hunger Games series.
It is. Can you see it?
I can.
Alrighty, you want to read it?
All right. So, as the War of Panem escalates to the destruction of other districts, Katniss Everdeen, the reluctant leader of the rebellion, must bring together an army against President Snow, while all she holds dear hangs in the balance. After young Katniss Everdeen agreed to be the symbol of rebellion to Mockingjay, she tries to return Peeta to his normal state, tries to get to the capital, and tries to deal with the battles coming her way, but all for her main goal, assassinating President Snow and returning peace to the districts of Panem. As her squad starts getting smaller and smaller, her target, will she be with her star-crossed lover Peeta or her longtime friend Gale? Deaths, bombs, bows and arrows, a love triangle, hope. What will happen?
That's a whole lot. All right, Xailyyne. Let's try to fill the cast in, then we'll get your thoughts. All right, Jennifer Lawrence.
Mockingjay.
Mockingjay, she's the main protagonist. Josh Hutcherson.
Xailyyne.
He's the star-crossed lover. Liam Hemsworth.
Xailyyne.
He's a longtime friend.
Naisi, Woody Harrelson.
Donald Sutherland, he's in everything.
Naisi, Donald Sutherland. Xailyyne, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Xailyyne, Julianne Moore. Not familiar with Willow Shields.
She is the sister of Jennifer Lawrence in the movie.
Looks like Jai Alpha.
Actually, she's an Ease, I believe. And then Sam Claflin, he's new actually.
Not familiar.
Z. Thanks, you heard.
Nizai.
Zai. Mahershala Ali.
Not familiar.
IG. He's cool. His scene with her when he died was one that was stuck with me more than others did. Jenna Malone.
Xailyyne.
Yep. Oh, Jeffrey Wright.
Xailyyne.
That's right. He gets around. And Paula Malcolmson
Naisi.
as the mom. And one more, Stanley Tucci as the broadcast guy.
Naisi.
I see it is. All righty. Bam. Okay, Xailyyne, your thoughts.
Well, I went in wanting to like it. I watched the one. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. So I went in wanting to like the movie, and I watched the first one of the series, but I didn't watch the other one. But I think that this one, I'm not sure why, but it left me, I was kind of disconnected from what was going on in the movie, the actions. I couldn't connect with the portrayal of Katniss's, and this might have been the way that the book was, the character was written in the book, but She was very emotionless. And I mean, it's not about the actress, because Jennifer Lawrence has played other roles, and she can bring a lot of emotion and humanity in life.
And there were scenes, there were a few brief scenes in the movie where she does it very well, but they're few and brief. What's that?
And on that. The other, so I couldn't really, I wasn't really connecting to the plight of the characters. The other thing is that it seemed like some of the circumstances that were happening seemed like a little contrived to me. Like they were, there wasn't a natural segue into the different parts of the movie and actions, things that were happening. Like things would pop out of nowhere, and you're like, where did that come from? And so I try to suspend disbelief when I watch movies, but it was hard to get into it when it felt it didn't feel like a natural progression, I guess. I feel like they're trying to make it come to this culmination of.
And something else I think you mentioned as well was that that's like the big war part. I guess kind of three things we were talking about. One was the war part. Some things that happened seemed just like a bit perfunctory, I think is what you said. Mm-hmm. The other one is you can't really see what's going on with her. Maybe in the book, because I didn't read the books, it's one of those things that she's a character that doesn't show a lot, but you get to hear a lot what's in her head in the writing. But in a visual medium like a movie, that's going to be missing. Because like I said, maybe her character just doesn't emote that much on the surface, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have a lot going on that you can see, read about in a book. The third one, though, is the love triangle. It's like the human piece. And the fact that there was just so little chemistry between her and those two. Obviously, there's Xailyyne, but also besides that, they're just not as charismatic or good at acting as she is.
Yeah, I also felt that they didn't have a lot of chemistry between those characters, which kind of like, since that was the main one of the
Hello? You frozen. Hello? Oh, that might be the end of our show for today. That was the last movie we had to talk about. I think we may have talked about the main points. I'll wait for a second here. Okay, so that will be our broadcast for. Oh, you come back on?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
It came back on automatically.
All right, why don't you go and finish up your thought then we'll call for tonight. What you were saying with the love triangle situation?
Not sure what happened there.
But anyway, you were saying with the love triangle that it kind of faltered?
So I don't know off, but I was just saying that in the first movie, The Hunger Games didn't really focus on this love triangle. It was more about the situation that these people found themselves in, segregated to these districts, and you had the capital that was wealthy and had an opulent sort of lifestyle, and the people in the districts had to fight to their death, and so you had these different, and she became like this symbol of like rebellion and emancipation. And
see, everything you're talking about, this is what we were mentioning, everything you're talking about is like, I like movies like that. Mm-hmm. I like movies with female protagonists, strong ones. I like movies that are science fiction, fantasy, and the whole idea of like a revolution against the empire. I'm like, I love it, love it, love it. I'm like, why can't I get into this? Yeah. I do think that it's interesting. not that star power is everything, but there is just a question of like, these are supposed to be like the three central people in the piece, being able to hold you. And the fact is, as performers, they're just not strong like she is. They're not bad, but they're not, she's quite strong. So the scenes that she had, for example, with Donald Sutherland crackled more. The scenes she had with Hamish, Woody Harrelson, crackled more. So you had these much stronger. It's interesting that in the love triangle, the main thing, she's the only one real strong one, and they have these other quite strong. Like for example, the scene that she had with Mahershala Ali, where he dies. Remember, gives her command of the device.
Yes.
That was a powerful scene. That's one of those movie scenes for me in the movie. And again, it was her and him together that made it work. But they had equal kind of energy going on as far as performing ability. It's just, I don't know, it's just hard. You know when how a performer can just sort of pull you? You're supposed to believe she's being pulled so strongly by these two forces or interests or attractions, and you're like, really? I don't feel as an audience, I don't feel this. It's hard to believe that.
Yeah, and it seemed like she was, when she was around them, it was kind of like a little meh. Like she was like, okay, you guys are hanging around here, but
it's true.
Fine for me, but okay, you know.
You may say something. Now, she's keeps her emotions kind of down a lot, but still, when she's around these two that are supposed to be so important to her, she doesn't seem to really feel it. And this is one of those things. This is kind of what I was talking about. They're separate, but when you're as an audience, they kind of just overlap on each other. Which is, I think, as an actress, she was more pumped up, more geared, more excited, more what's going to happen when she was working with Donald Sutherland, Woody Harrelson, Mahershala Ali. When she's as an actress, as a performing artist, she's like, I'm going on stage with some people who can roll. And so she brought, because even some of the scenes with them, she was still rather emotionless with Donald Sutherland, but it crackled. There's a lot more. She was more, I think, up in that scene, even still doing a rather deadpan delivery on things. But that's because, she's on screen with someone else who's like, she wants to make sure she's strong with. I mean, it would be hard, I think, to be as strong as she can really be as a performer and not make them look bad. Hello?
Much I feel sad about dissing somebody, but and I guess I'm trying to.
I'm separating this from those as people. They both might be very good people, and I think they could be stronger. I'm not saying they're untalented, but at this point in their careers, I don't think they're at her level.
Yeah, because you had her acting like with another Xailyyne and like Bradley Cooper and like.
Yeah. So it's not just the chemistry thing as far as the social alchemy.
Yeah, and there they were well paired. There was chemistry, even though they were an inspirational. That wasn't the point. There was still this dynamic back and forth, and you could feel them kind of into the scenes and into this dynamic between each other. But that didn't really come across in this movie.
Yeah. And also, she had it with Christian Bale in the one that she did where she was with him. Bradley Cooper was in that one as also, but she was actually married to the was American Hustle, right? She's married to the Christian Bale character. And again, their scenes, they don't really like each other that much. You know what I mean? Like the chemistry is like, we're very dysfunctional, but it crackled. Their dysfunction was highly entertaining. I was kind of bored with this.
Yeah, me too.
I got a little bored whenever like there'd be like a quiet moment with her and PETA or with her and Hemsworth. I'd be like, oh. And me. I like a good romantic scene right in the middle of the wars. It's not that I don't like that. I do like that, but I'm like, normally I wouldn't say go back to shooting, but in your case, let's maybe go back to shooting some.
But she seemed a little bored herself, and I think that came across.
Yeah. It's true. But we gave it a shot, and I'm glad I got to see it. But although I think there may have been something going on prior, because we saw the first one and just never really felt a strong urge to see the other ones. And then we're like, we really should see like the last one so we know what's going on. But I still couldn't quite get into it. But yeah, but like all the elements of it, I normally am really into. So that was quite surprising.
Yeah, it was.
So anyway, but good luck for the next movie. But that was a lot of fun, Xailyyne. We'll call for it tonight. And I think next time we definitely have to get into the show Crossing Lines.
Yeah, sounds good.
I'm enjoying that one. All right, everyone. Have a good night. I hope you enjoyed all those new samples that were revealed. Boom.
Good night, everyone.